Great
You're
day.
in tune to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean. Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on the Powerhouse Radio station are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers. The show, found on the Powerhouse Radio station, can promote any lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and/or claim any cure of disease or conditions. Opinions stated by various contributors to the Powerhouse Radio and its programming are not to be considered as endorsed by the Powerhouse Radio station. Visitors are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusion. We emphasize the importance of keeping an open mind.
Great day, everybody. Great day. Welcome to the I Am Meta show here on the Powerhouse Radio Show. Want to thank you all for joining, watching the replay, and being here live with us. And so, my beautiful co-host is not here today, and she may be joining us later, and that is okay. We are going to move forward with our topic for today, which is hormones from puberty to menopause. Okay. It's a very long, broad topic because you're talking about almost the entire life cycle of a woman, of a girl and to a woman. So that's a very long time period to cover, but we're going to get into it. So, what we're talking about are hormones and how those hormones are able to influence our body for different functions in our body. So, the hormones, the chemical messengers in the body that come from the some organs, glands in the brain, and affect the rest of our body and other organs and glands within our body, all part of the endocrine system, right? So, in during this time, so we talked about puberty, and we've talked about some hormonal imbalances generally overall speaking in previous episodes, which you can watch the replays on YouTube on the Powerhouse Radio YouTube show. So today we're going to be talking about hormones as they affect women, well, girls to women throughout their life from puberty to menopause. So there's a great change that happens. First of all, let's talk about the great change that happens. So you're just living your life, happy-go-lucky little girl without, too much cares in the world, hopefully, and you're happy enjoying life. And then you start to experience the hormonal influences that come on, and girls, they start eating more, their bodies start changing, their mental and emotions start to change, and so they start to become a more grown version of themselves. And so from there from there we end up with going through puberty, the later stages of puberty, where the hormones, really estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, they really start to come in high gear. And you see girls really filling out their bodies. Some of these hormones influence the accumulation, or I won't say the accumulation of fat, because we're born with, they say we're born with the number of fat cells, that we're going to have, we die with. It's just a matter of those fat cells being filled or not filled. So these hormones increase the collection of things to fill our fat cells. Okay. So it helps us as women, girls, to put on weight during that time period, to become a little more fluffy. And so that's going to happen. Breast development is going to happen. Mental and emotional changes are happening. This is a time period they say that the teens are attempting to find out who they are, and rightfully so, because they're going through like a metamorphosis. It's like a butterfly, a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. They are completely changing from the way they knew their body to be and their mind and everything, their feelings, and they're becoming something else, an adult, right? So that is like for some teens is a very scary transition into adulthood. And there's a lot of mental and emotional instability with the fluctuation of the hormones as they learn to regulate themselves. So then you go women, you know, sometimes women experience heavy menstrual cycles, painful menstrual cycles, and those can be signs of hormonal imbalances. And those are things you want to be aware of. You want to be aware of the parameters for having a normal, healthy cycle. And uh, and when I say your cycle, not just your menstrual flow. We also want to have the cycles of your body. So healthy emotional cycles, healthy mental cycles, healthy physical cycles. The whole of your body is going through cycles. And you want to get to know those cycles. You want to know how the hormones are affecting your body at any given point during the month. So that takes paying attention to detail. That takes either journaling about your experience every day or a few times a week to tracking symptoms and signs. So you might want to track when you have breast tenderness. You might want to track when you have cramps, track when you have mood swings. You want to track when you have maybe bowel discomfort. You want to track the different things that are happening in your body as you're going along life so that you can track the cycles. You have that cycle, it's going to ebb and flow, it's going to ebb and flow, and it's going to come back around, and you're going to experience these things over. And the reason why this is important, and it's really important to teach our daughters, is so that when something is outside of what our body is showing us as a normal operation, we can say, okay, something else is happening here. There's something different that's going on. I need to check into it. So then you check in with your body, find out what's going on. Some of you may have doctors. Some of you may have naturopathic doctors. Some of you may have, you know, a Chinese medicine practitioner. You may just have yourself. You may have an herbalist, whomever is your um, go to health provider, consultant. You definitely want to check in with them when something is not normal for your body. Okay. So then, women, not all women, some women, they go through a stage of where the body gets like really inundated, it gets flooded with hormones. And that is during the time of pregnancy. Okay. So, so many things happen during pregnancy, so many hormones. There are so many changes that the body has to go through, a woman's body has to go through. And from the pituitary and the hypothalamus, all these um, glands that are part of the endocrine system in the brain, they stimulate different organs in the body to make sure that they can accommodate growing another human being or two or three or four or eight, because there are people out there who have had 8 babies at one time in their belly. Okay, I could never. Well, this is something that takes a lot of very specific coordination. It takes a lot of specific coordination of the body, and it takes hormones. Again, hormones are chemical messengers that go from one organ or part of the body to another organ or tissues of the body. So, when a woman is pregnant, she will experience an increase in estrogen, she will experience an increase in progesterone, and there are a whole lot of other hormones that are going on in the body. And these hormones are having an effect to first, these hormones, they are present always, every day, helping to regulate the menstrual cycle. And they don't just regulate the menstrual cycle. They like estrogen affects every part of the body. And estrogen is an important hormone in not just women's bodies, but in men's bodies as well. But we're talking about women today. Okay. So, estrogen is one of the most well-known hormones that women's bodies produce, and women are thereby affected. So, this has to do with um, the estrogen affects the body in the development towards carrying a baby, and it is part of the regulation of the menstrual cycle. And it also helps to make sure that we have strong bones and that it also impacts our cholesterol. So, even though everybody knows estrogen and progesterone as quote female hormones or women's hormones or pregnancy hormones, they actually affect other parts of the body. And that's why men have them as well. So, and so during pregnancy, the estrogen what it does is it helps to have the uterus grow. It helps the uterus to get more blood supply, helps the muscles to really get all the nutrients that they need so that they can be ready. The uterus sitting there, getting its lining built up, preparation for this egg. Let's talk about a fertilized egg here because we're talking about pregnancy. And then what happens is when the lining is um, full, we'll say it's at its capacity of growth, and the egg is implanted there, then the estrogen will be there to help promote breast development even more. So the production of the breast tissue, which is housing the milk ducts for later on after the baby's born, right? And estrogen also helps in the growth and development of the baby, you know. Um, Also, another thing that estrogen does, estrogen affects hyperpigmentation of the skin. So sometimes you may notice on a woman who has melanin on her nipples, like a lot of melanin, during pregnancy, they can become darker. And her linea alba can become even darker. And some people get what's called a pregnancy mask, and it's like flushes across their face, forehead, chin, and they get darker um, because of the estrogen. Okay. Progesterone is also one of the other hormones that a woman's body produces and is used to help regulate the menstrual cycle. And so during pregnancy, though, after the egg is fertilized, then progesterone also um, helps us soften the ligaments. So you have the uterus is attached to the pelvis by what's called the round ligaments. And as the uterus grows to capacitate the growing fetus, things are going to need to move around a little bit. And it's going to help in making sure that those muscles and pretty much all the muscles in the body, and along with a hormone that's called relaxin, for good reason, those two hormones will help the body to capacitate the muscles to stretch and to accommodate the growing fetus so that the mother's body can actually do these changes, stretching out here, and the muscles in the back are able to stretch a little bit more because there's going to be pressure on them from the force of the belly in the front. So all these things work together and to loosen up the hips so that the woman's body can move more fluidly as she's carrying the baby. And then when it comes towards delivery, relaxin is also there to help make sure that the pelvis can relax, the muscles in the pelvis can relax and open so that baby can come out. okay, without hurting mom. So, very important hormones here, very impactful hormones here. Um, and there are a lot of hormones. We have follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, and they also are hormones that we experience as women and girls during menstruation and just throughout our cycle, which is, every day. They also play a big role in pregnancy. And follicle stimulating hormone, it stimulates the eggs, to grow in the ovaries, and or the ovum is another way to call the egg. And it helps to increase the production of estrogen. And so when the estrogen levels rise, then the follicle stimulating hormone rises, and then we have the luteinizing hormone rises, and then we have the preparation of the uterus for the egg to be implanted. Okay. So, a lot of times we don't really think about everything that happens during a pregnancy. And then some people have a deeper appreciation for pregnancy, for what a woman's body goes through when goes through pregnancy, because there is a lot going on. When you experience puberty, you may or may not remember it, but emotionally and mentally, it's like so many thoughts and feelings are coming up and arising, new feelings that you're not able to identify. And so during pregnancy, a woman, she has like excitement, happiness, joy for the pregnancy, or she may be experiencing sadness, anger, or rage, depending on her own circumstances. And then on top of that, experiencing the influx of all of these hormones. Because although these hormones are there to facilitate growth of a new life, they are impacting her. They aren't only going towards the uterus, they aren't only going to the baby. These hormones are going from her head to her toe. And so that's why, we ought to, in the Western world, change the way that we view pregnancy and take care of our bodies better while we are pregnant, and those that are around us to facilitate the care. And, are we, fragile and, easily prone to be hurt? Um, Not especially, but we could be with the relaxin hormone. You could become hyper flexible. But the point is that we got to be more aware that there is a lot going on hormonally, which impacts us emotionally, which can impact us mentally, and it just impact everyone around us. So let's be mindful of our pregnant people. Okay. So another hormone that is present during pregnancy is called the human chorionic gonadotropin, which is HCG. And this hormone is produced during pregnancy. And this hormone is the hormone that they look for, like the marker in the blood or what is picked up in a urine test to see like how far along a woman is pregnant. Because the higher levels of HCG is like the further along the pregnancy is, right? So as the levels rise, then that is the indication that the pregnancy is going on, like it's thriving. And then um, after that, then it'll start to taper off, and then the HCG is going to play a part to produce or to trigger the production of estrogen and progesterone, so that it'll go through placenta, and the placenta can start doing it for the baby. All right. So another hormone that women experience is prolactin. The body produces prolactin, and prolactin is made by the pituitary gland. And the prolactin is for lactation, because lactation. Okay. So lactation, basically, so that the breast produce milk for the baby once it's born to have nourishment. That's That's the physical, biological function of breasts to feed the babies. Okay? That's what the breasts are for. Um, I mean, we're adults, so breasts do have other purposes and uses. Biologically, you know, it's there to feed our babies. Okay. And then let's see. Also, even though the hormone placental growth factor PGF and the humoplacental lactogen are produced during pregnancy, and these hormones cause the blood vessels in the placenta to narrow or to widen so that more blood exchange can happen. When this hormone is not working properly, then it can cause high blood pressure and preeclampsia. A lot of women experience preeclampsia during pregnancy, which could become a medical emergency if it's not caught soon enough. So, these are some other hormones that are running through a woman's body. Okay. Um, and then we have oxytocin, right? Oxytocin is also made by the hypothalamus, and um, it's secreted. What it says, it's made by the hypothalamus and secreted by the pituitary gland. Okay, so this one, oxytocin, is the hormone that the body sends to the uterus for it to contract and start contracting. So as more of it is released into the bloodstream and it goes to the uterus actually starts to contract. Now, back a long time ago, back in the day, like in ancient times, and today in some cultures, this is still routine, which is to have women deliver kneeling or squatting. Okay. And the reason that is for the sake of gravity, because the uterus actually contracts. The uterus actually contracts. I'll say it again. The uterus actually contracts. The uterus contracts and it does the work of getting the baby out. Now, in Western society, we've been conditioned to like push and do all these things. But the more if you become aligned and get to know your body, and many women have embarked on this journey, you will find that you won't have to push because the uterus is doing all of the pushing. That a woman would simply have to relax. Now, I know there may be a lot of people coming at me to say, well, I had to push and they told me to push. I mean, they told me to push too. If I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have necessarily pushed because I did get to use a squatting bar and squat with my first one. And I will say that since it was my first one, I mean, I didn't have anything to compare it to lying down, but it wasn't, it didn't require a lot of effort on my part. I basically just had to keep myself up on the bar. And so oxytocin is going to help the uterus and it's going to make it contract even more. And that's going to be, those are the contractions, right? And with each contraction, the uterus is squeezing and releasing, and it's pushing the baby out little by little, squeeze at a time. Okay. And then some people may experience a slow labor where, according to doctors, it's going slow, and they may give you some Pitocin, which is the synthetic lab created version of oxytocin. And this will help to stimulate muscular contraction. Okay. And oxytocin also helps with milk production. Well, the expressing of milk, expressing just means like getting the milk out. And um, the oxytocin will help to contract the muscles that are along the breast ducts, the ducts within the breast that actually will end up bringing the milk out. So it will help with that as well. And then there's like ton other of other hormones. that a woman will experience during pregnancy. And something I wanted to share with you guys is that during pregnancy, there's this influx of hormones. There's like a buildup, it's a gradual increase of these hormones. And then delivery happens. And when delivery happens, there is a sharp drop of these hormones. And with this sharp drop of hormones, it's like for some women, it could be like taking away, um, you know, a drug addict's drugs and then they go through withdrawals, right? Taking them out of the environment so that they don't have access. Well, when you are experiencing that drop, some women experience depression, okay? Because hormones affect how we feel. They affect our emotions, our feelings towards life and ourself and baby and everybody else, baby's dad and parents and other siblings and whoever else. It's going to affect how we feel. And some women, the crash is so great and impactful on their system, their body, that they go on to develop um, psychosis. So they end up developing postpartum depression. Um, and then if it's not treated and or it is um, deep enough for them, they can experience psychosis. So it's very important for everyone around a new mom to really give her love and attention. And this is not necessarily to prevent depression because she's going to have that drop off of hormones. It's to be active participant in watching and knowing what's happening with her, knowing what's going on with her, seeing if she is going into a depression, seeing how she feels, like being there for her, because this is a very critical point in a lot of women's life after they deliver, because a lot of people have their attention on the babies. Okay. A lot of people have their attention on the babies, they're focused on the babies, and that could make a mother feel like she's not being seen or heard, and she just needs to be cared for at this point in her life. Okay. So, pretty soon, we're going to go for a commercial break. We're going to have, yep, it's time for a commercial break. We just want to give thanks to the Powerhouse Radio Show and say that come on the Powerhouse Radio Show. There are many programs here, there are many shows to listen to. Straight after this one, there is a show to follow. And then I know on Wednesdays and Thursdays, there are shows as well. So you want to get your dose of the Powerhouse Radio Show anytime, just make sure you just tune in to the channel and check out Lady D and check out some of the other co hosts and guests throughout the week as they're going to be having different programming. And so we just thank you all for stopping by. If you have any questions or if you would like to follow up, have a consultation with myself or Zephyra, the Medicare doctor, you want to just contact us at the Powerhouse Radio Show. So I want to thank everyone for
You're
joining.
in tune to Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean. One primary care range of products embodies fundamental features necessary to maintain beautiful and healthy hair care without having to combine an assortment of hair care products. The One Vitamin Care products are designed to rejuvenate, moisturize, create shine, fortify, and stimulate hair growth while leaving your hair feeling weightless and luxurious. Be sure to visit our website at www.one
BYWANKAYA.com, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Rundown Kia. Let's get your healthy hair care journey started today. The Hinkson Firm's mission is to provide superior legal service in the areas of family law, child welfare law, general legal services, and mediation by keeping convenience of the clients at the forefront. The Hinkson Firm's goal is to eliminate the stress of an already intense situation in your life by coming directly to your workplace and or a location close to your home for consultation, meetings, and mediation. The Hinkson firm customized legal attention based on the needs of each client while treating every client with the dignity and respect they deserve, while fighting strongly and fiercely for justice and their legal rights. The Hinkson firm can be reached at 470-499-4704.
You're in tune to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean.
Okay, we're back. That was a great break. Yes, we are here on the Powerhouse Radio Show. And my name is Malika, a breath of fresh air. And I am here to share with you today about hormones for the girl and woman from puberty to menopause. So, I wanted to just finish talking about hormones as they pertain to postpartum depression and just the need and the necessity to take care of the women around us who are new mothers and just to attend to them, especially because they have had a hormonal decrease, like a cliffhanger, and um, like a cliff drop off, and they could be experiencing excess sadness and depression. So just love up on the new mothers in your life and check in with them often, and let's just make sure that their road to recovery from pregnancy is a smooth one and loving. Okay, awesome. So now during life, we're eating different things, we're exposed to different things in the environment, and we have things that we put on our skin, things that we put in our body, and these things can affect our hormones, and we can experience hormonal imbalances. So, a lot of women are experiencing hormonal imbalances, and that is um, being termed as one instance PCOS. And then another term it could be, oh goodness, the other possibility of hormone imbalance for women is they could be experiencing um, uteral growths throughout their womb, which is definitely abnormal. And what that ends up being is endometriosis. So if you're experiencing like really painful periods, if it's painful for you to poop during your cycle, if you have really large clots, like say the size of a dime or bigger, with frequent constipation, if you know that you're, pretty much eating in a way that's providing you with plenty of fiber. Um, any of these things could point to um, endometriosis, and also could be possible polycystic ovarian syndrome. You could experience like weight gain that seems out of sync with the way that you eat and with your lifestyle um, activities. It's also could result in excess hair, could result in some acne, um, and it could result in your skin becoming thickened around your neck, your armpits, and between your breasts, and maybe even between your thighs if they are touching. And that's due to that estrogen hormone again. Um, and so, if there's too much or testosterone flowing because there's not enough estrogen, then these things can occur. Um, and so, another thing that women experience in this hormonal life of ours is menopause. And oftentimes women they dread they dread they dread it. They dread menopause because there's so many experiences that women have when it comes to menopause. And also there's also called perimenopause, which is like when you can experience the symptoms of menopause where it would be considered like kind of early. So what's happening with this is that your ovaries, so there's a theory out there that as we age as women, that the number of eggs we have deteriorates and decreases. And I recently listened to a podcast and they were talking about studies that have been done more recently to find that that is not necessarily true. That women's egg status is not necessarily deteriorating as we have been led to believe for so many years. So, and it doesn't mean that she's losing eggs. You know, it doesn't mean that a woman is losing eggs. So, anyway, during this transition of a perimenopause, so some women experience perimenopause pretty early in life. And so, perimenopause um, can happen. And during perimenopause, mostly you experience a decline in estrogen. Okay. And estrogen is what keeps your egg development optimal and keeps the system running as far as your menstrual cycle. Estrogen, progesterone, all these hormones, they work together. Luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, and they all work together to keep that process going. And estrogen actually helps women to have like a youthful, glowy type of look also. So that's why sometimes you see like some women who end up going through menopause, they don't have that glowy look. They don't have that like youthful look um, because they have a decrease of estrogen. Doesn't mean you can't look young. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like the difference. Like remember I said estrogen and during puberty, it helps for the fat to like be there, more prominent, for you to have more um stuff inside your fat cells, more fat. I would say more fat, but it doesn't mean more fat cells, okay? So helps you to have more plumpness to your look, to your body. And so as you go through perimenopause and into menopause, the estrogen decreases. So that glowy look that a lot of women they're concerned about not having it anymore, is that's the reason why they don't have it anymore. Um, and so the other thing that happens is when estrogen is decreasing, then progesterone is going to be like at an increase. So there's not going to be a balance. There needs to be a balance. The hormones have to work in a balance, estrogen and progesterone. So when estrogen goes low, then progesterone is out here by itself, hanging out at these levels. And then what happens then is that the menstrual cycle ends up being erratic. So sometimes women are like, I haven't had a period for like 2 months, and then they have a pregnancy scare because they think they might be pregnant, when really their body's going through, they start in perimenopause, and their hormones are starting to fluctuate. So some of the signs, like irregular periods, more mood swings, right? Just mood swings different than what you've experienced. That's why it's important to be aware of your cycle and how your body cycles through what experiences you have as your body goes through the different cycles of progesterone and estrogen and luteinizing hormone and all the hormones that cycle through your body. It's important to track them so that you'll even know if you're going through perimenopause, possibly, rather than thinking you're having a pregnancy scare. And then also, what happens that people, of course, people know about hot flashes, but something that women experience that isn't talked about a lot. I mean, at least I don't hear about it, and maybe it's because I'm not going through that time of life, but um, I know Zephyr, she had some information she wanted to share with you guys from her own experience. But anyway, something that's not really talked about a lot is vaginal dryness and or atrophy of the vagina. So, like I said, estrogen is that hormone that makes you look youthful with fat, right? So with the fat here and there all over your body, there's a certain amount of blood supply and everything going on, but also estrogen helps to keep the vagina moist. And when estrogen levels go down, moisture levels go down in the mucous membrane of the vagina, and that can lead to vaginal dryness, and it can lead to painful sex. It can lead to just pain walking. I've heard some women have pain just even walking because um, it's moving and there's like friction happening, mucous membranes kind of sticking together, and it's just not a comfortable situation. So if you're noticing, if you're a woman who is noticing vaginal dryness or painful sex, or if you use tampons and it's like extra difficult to get the tampon up there, perhaps you can check with your yourself. You find out if you've been tracking your body, or you check with your healthcare provider to see if you may be perimenopausal and experiencing low estrogen levels. Something that also happens is that your menstruation could be very heavy or much lighter than what it normally is. And that's because of the influx of the hormones. It just depends on whatever amount of progesterone and estrogen is happening at different times of the month for you is going to determine how much bleeding or not you're going to have. Um, Also, something that could happen is urinary urgency, meaning you got to use the bathroom frequently and right away. Okay. Um, Also, of course, we talked about mood swings, depression, irritability. All these things can happen during perimenopause. And let's see. You could also experience periods coming close together, right? So, also, what happens with women after that is menopause. Okay, so let's talk about menopause. So, when a woman experiences menopause, it's when she has not had a menstrual cycle um, for 12 months. She's gone a whole year. A woman's gone a whole year without a menstrual period, and that is when a woman is considered to be in menopause. So of course there's the hot flashes and potentially vaginal dryness and um, mood swings even more. You may feel like you just don't really know what's going on or who you are, but it's really just the influx um, of the hormones being kind of erratic. It's like I don't know, you guys might laugh or not at this, but it's like you're becoming prepubescent again, almost, with the hormone levels going down. Because pre-puberty, your hormone levels weren't really, up there, right? They were just really very minimal. Then puberty hits and the hormone levels start to rise. And there was the whole confusion of who am I and what's happening to my body and why am I experiencing this? The breasts are hurting and the everything is happening, right? That's what girls experience when they're coming into this stage of life where hormones are going to start running through their body at an increased frequency and rate. And remember that transitional period. Um, and just think of it like it's a reversal now. going into menopause, but you start to experience different things because the body was used to these hormones for so many years, and now you're taking the hormones away, and so you're just going to experience um, the decline of that. And so let's see, some of the things that women experience, like I've heard a lot of stuff, that women experience when they are going through menopause. And some women, like, they say they feel like they have an oven inside of them and they get really hot, and they can't control that temperature. And so they're experiencing this heat, and it's like they can walk around butt naked because they just feel so hot inside. And that is something that's happening due to the hormone influx. And there are some things out there that people do for that. And I would say seek out the treatment of your choice and things like that. You can have trouble sleeping. You can have trouble focusing. A lot of women I've heard speak about menopause, they experience a mental fogginess, and the mental fogginess is due to the drop in estrogen as well. It's like estrogen doesn't just affect your ovaries and your uterus and your breasts. Estrogen affects every tissue in your body. And so you will notice the effects of what estrogen was doing for you as you go through perimenopause and menopause. Um, some women can experience having less hair, um, and on their head and more hair in their face. And that's because the drop in estrogen, but when the estrogen drops and the testosterone is still there, maybe at its same levels, or estrogen could drop even more than the testosterone drops, then more testosterone, you're going to have that hair growth in other places. Like some women experience hair on their chin, some women experience more hair on top of their lip, and you can experience hair loss on your head. And these are just different changes that a woman can go through as she's going through menopause and going into the stage of life where she will no longer be able to carry a baby or hold a baby. Like, in womb, she won't be able to carry a baby, she won't be able to give birth anymore. And so it's a very, very, very important time in life. Um, and then let's say a woman is experiencing this, she can experience this for a number of years. So a woman can experience these menopausal signs or symptoms um, for a number of years before it subsides, and then it levels off. And in this stage of life, now I haven't entered that stage of life yet, but some things that women who are postmenopausal would need to be aware of is that with the lowering of estrogen, um, you are at a decreased risk for certain cancers, and then there is an increased risk for others. But then also at the same time, like, I would just share my views that um, you can you can not be susceptible to these things, right? Um, it depends on some different factors, mindset, how you feel, and generally how you live your life. So, women are also at a high risk of osteoporosis. And osteoporosis is a condition where the bone structure of the bones becomes weakened because it's not being strengthened due to the decrease and the changes in the hormones in a woman's body. And women are 4 times more likely to develop osteoporosis than men, and to um, fracture a bone. You hear about the little old lady who fell in her kitchen and or in her bathroom and broke her hip because during our lifetime, estrogen was helping to keep our bones strong. Is helping to keep our bones strong. Estrogen is something that helps keep our bones strong. And when it tapers off, again, it's like withdrawal. It really has a huge impact. So it's really important for women to exercise and do strength training so that the strength of our bones can be sufficient so that when estrogen, if and when estrogen drops off, because there's some new science coming out, if and when the estrogen drops off, our bones can still sustain themselves. They'll still be strong and able to hold us up, and we can be confident as we're walking around that we're not going to break a bone, even if we were to fall. And let's see. So other things to look out for, menopause is weight gain. So during menopause, there's also an increase in weight, particularly for women around their abdomen. Um, so estrogen tells the body like where to house some fat, where to get it. And when we don't have that estrogen, then it'll all just gather there. So there are so many things that women need to be aware of and to learn about and watch out for when it comes to their bodies and hormones. And it's something that we need to be ourselves informed and educated on in respect to general science and knowledge, and also individually. So that means knowing your body, knowing what happens with your body, what doesn't happen with your body, and when it does. So being well informed about the processes that our body goes through throughout our life will actually help us in identifying when something is not quite right. Because sometimes we have feelings that tell us something doesn't really feel right in our body. And because we don't have, because generally speaking, some women and men too, but we're talking about women today, don't have a certain knowledge or understanding about their body, they're not able to pinpoint what could be going on. And then it can lead to a prolonged um, life living with the situation, the discomfort, before seeking help about it. And by the time help is sought, it could be a bit late. So I just want to encourage everyone. So, women, if you're a mother, make sure that you either teach your daughter or you get her to someone that can teach her about puberty and the changes that her body's going to go through hormonally and how that's going to affect her on an emotional level, a physical level, mental level, so that she can be prepared too. And as you go through pregnancy, like learn about the pregnancy beyond the stages of the development of the baby, because you need to know what's happening with your body and how you can best be prepared, and especially for postpartum. And as you're going into, midlife, you want to be aware of hormonal imbalances, what that could look like, what that might feel like, and be informed so that you can know and understand your body. So that when your body is telling you something is out of balance and something's out of whack, you can find out early on rather than later on and be able to um, prevent um, the accumulation of cells and toxins and things like that when there's a hormonal imbalance, and you can get it reversed sooner rather than later. And if you're going through perimenopause and or menopause, educate yourself, because women in their 30s even are going through perimenopause. And it could be something else, because that's pretty young to be going through perimenopause. So if you're like in your 30s and you think you're in perimenopause, just get your hormone levels checked, because perhaps there's something else. Check your nutrition, check your environment, check the products that you're placing on your skin, because what you may not be aware of is that some of the products you are putting on your skin could have endocrine disruptors. And endocrine disruptors are chemicals that will be in the place of the hormones within your body, and they will do different things, or they will prevent your hormones from getting to where they need to go. And this can upset the balance of your hormones and make you think you're in perimenopause, and actually you're not. So, ladies, please get yourselves checked up, checked out, find out what's normal for you, what's normal for your body by journaling and keeping track of everything that's going on with your body. And so when you enter into menopause and perimenopause, you will know what's going on and do research on how you can help yourself more comfortably navigate those times of life. You don't have to be miserable in menopause. So just seek out natural treatments, things like that, if you would like that, or seek out ways that you can change your lifestyle earlier on to help mitigate and minimize menopause. Minimize menopause. Let's do that. Let's minimize menopause. So, thank you for joining today. And today was my first time doing the show by myself. And so, I look forward to hearing from everyone. Send in your messages to the Powerhouse Radio Show here on the YouTube channel or on the website. And we thank you for joining us today. And share this replay with your friends and family. And also go back and watch it again, listen again, and get in tune with your body. Thank you.